Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Woo! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
There has been an awakening. Have you felt it? 10 years ago. Welcome back, everybody, to the Star Wars Underworld Podcast, your weekly source for all the latest breaking Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. And this week, as alluded to, we're going to celebrate the 10th anniversary.
What?
Of The Force Awakens.
10 years? What?
A decade of The Force Awakens.
way.
We're going to talk about that. We'll dive into some updates regarding the latest films like New Jedi Order and Starfighter. We've got some more updates on the video games that were announced last week. We'll get into all that, and we'll answer some more of your burning questions in another iconic edition of Ask the SWU. First, though, introductions are in order in case you're new to the show or you've forgotten who we are. It's been 10 years. That can happen. My name is Dominic Jones, and with me, as always, is the founder of the Star Wars Underworld. It's Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Yes, it is I again for I've forgotten how many years, because I know for a fact that we have been doing this podcast for quite a few years prior to the release of The Force Awakens. And now that I've found out today, as of now, I had no idea before you just said it, that The Force Awakens turned 10 years old today. Come on, man. This just can't be right. And yeah, it's crazy. A lot of time has passed. And I remember that time vividly, and looking forward to get a little nostalgic about 10 years ago, literally. It just happened to happen tonight as we're recording this, so it's great to have that happen.
Yeah, Chris isn't here right now, but allow me to just say, in the spirit of this game, of the show and the movie, Kylo Ren packaging is nostalgic to me.
There you go.
Takes me back. Yeah, it's crazy. We'll get into that. We'll tell some stories from that time. We'll reflect on the legacy of that movie as we also look ahead at what is to come from Star Wars in the next, 10 years or 2 years or however long it's going to be. First, we'll run through a couple of reminders. Make sure you subscribe to the show. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. If you're listening live, you can super chat with us. That's the way to guarantee your question gets into the Ask the SWU segment. You can become a channel member if you like the show and want to support us. And in between shows, be sure to join the Discord and follow us on social media to keep the conversation going. And we got a couple other shows on the network, like the Raeside, Ion Cannon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, and the Tractor Beam. All right, Ben, let's get into this. 10 years of The Force Awakens. Take us back. I remember where we were, but set the scene, paint a picture of not so much where we were and what we were doing, because I think everybody's memories of that is fairly similar, but of what you were feeling on December 18th, 2015.
Yeah, that's the thing is that I've been thinking a lot about these past few days, is the fact then in a lot, and this is I'm gonna be very personal, very vulnerable with you right now, and show this purely from my point of view, in the sense that I think, and I still think this, that 2015 may have been the best year of my life, like truly. And I mean that I mean that very sincerely, because like you have to look at it from my perspective of that 2015 was a huge year because it was the first time I went to Star Wars Celebration. That happened in April. It was a huge thing just leading up to it. I mean, and it was, I mean, just set the stage just for everyone. Like, you know, October of 2012, we're like, oh, there's movies coming. And then there's just like, not, you know, a long wait. I remember walking by theaters probably sometime in like 2013, 2014, not knowing what Star Wars Episode 7 was going to be, not having really an inkling of what that movie was going to look like. Walking by a theater and feeling giddy and going, there's going to be a Star Wars movie in there one day. Now I'm going to go watch it. That was the feeling. That was my feeling.
Yeah.
And then the lead up, it was this epic crawl to the finish line of December 2015, which included Star Wars Celebration, which included, for me personally, and I just remembered this, for me, it was a local magazine and a local newspaper did stories about me.
Yeah.
For God knows why. I still don't know why, but that happened. And then I did radio interviews. That was the first round of my Canadian TV interviews that I did in the lead up to The Force Awakens. And then getting to see it with you guys. You guys came to my house to watch The Force Awakens, which was super special for me. And then to top it all off, I go and my family inexplicably decides to spend Christmas 2015 in New York City. And so, so we drive, and of course I'm in the car the entire time, listening to the soundtrack, you know, watching whatever clips I can online, listening to the audiobook, doing all this, obsessing over this movie, and then going to New York City and seeing Times Square, giant billboards, everything, like the whole, basically, it felt like the whole city was decked out in Force Awakens ad campaigns. Like it was crazy. And like, I call The Force Awakens it's my nostalgic favorite Star Wars film. And I mean nostalgia in the way, not in the way that most people mean nostalgia, in the sense that people are nostalgic for the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, Clone Wars, whatever else, whatever they grew up with, they're nostalgic for that. And yes, I'm nostalgic for those things too, because I grew up with those things too. But The Force Awakens was this different thing. It was like I had been able to watch Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith in theaters, but I never really got to experience them. There was faint memories. There was memories from my childhood. I was getting a Star Wars movie as an adult and getting to experience this and getting to anticipate it and experience it in my own way. And because 2015 was such a special year for me, anytime I revisit this movie, it is very much watching the movie for what it is and enjoying it. And I still do love this movie, but also rekindling and bringing back all those just heartfelt memories for me that reminded me of what such a special time that was. So, and I have memories with all the movies that are associated with all the releases of the movies, because we're all doing something special. But, you know, that movie is the most special because it was such a massive year, massive time, such a crazy year, for me, like a head spinning, like what is happening? There's so much happening that I can't even process it. And so that's on top of just like the movie itself, which I think is pretty great.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the movie itself in a minute, but I want to just sort of jump on what you're saying about, like, I was reflecting on this for my Substack this week of like what do I think about most when I think about 10 years of The Force Awakens, when I think about that time when that movie was coming out, it was just the most fun. There was a sense of anticipation. There was a sense of excitement. There was a sense of like going home, but also starting something new. Like that's this weird tightrope that only that movie really could walk of, you know, Star Wars is back. It's been 10 years since Revenge of the Sith, but also Mark Harrison and Carrie are back. It's been 30 something years since Return of the Jedi. So it's this homecoming for them. but there's also the promise of what's coming next, both with the new characters of the sequel trilogy and just the whole concept of the franchise was changing at the time. The concept of Star Wars was changing from this, once in a while thing. There'll be a sort of a 6-year period with a movie every 3 years in it, and then it goes away, to what we have now, which is a constant thing of maybe even overdoing it with movies and shows and everything all the time. But there's this feeling of fun and anticipation, and everybody was excited. There were some people who were being cynical, but the cynicism really hadn't kicked in yet. It was just kind of lively and exciting, and you felt like you were at a moment. I remember thinking about it at the time of like, I need to savor this moment because there will not be another moment like it. Not with Rogue One, not with The Last Jedi, not with Solo, not with Rise of Skywalker. As much fun as those movie releases were, there was something truly special about The Force Awakens. And part of it was the things you've talked about, of like getting to follow the whole like emotional arc of this movie getting made, from not ever believing it would happen. I never believed we would get episode 7, let alone 8 and 9.
Me neither.
I didn't think it was possible. And I have a similar memory to your, like, walking by theaters and imagining there being a Star Wars movie in it. I remember it being October 30th, 2012, when that announcement of episode 7 was made. And I remember just walking around listening to the Star Wars theme and imagining seeing a new crawl. So to then be there in the theater in Mississippi, y'all, and have that crawl actually happening, actually be there in front of us, and getting to see this new movie, this thing that I never imagined would ever get to see. I always thought if there was going to be another Star Wars movie, it would be Joe Johnston's Boba Fett movie or something. Like, it wouldn't be episode 7. It wouldn't have Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill in it. It would be something else. And yet there we were, seated for that movie. And the lead up to it was so much fun. You mentioned Celebration. That was a great time. San Diego Comic-Con and D23 were also that summer, and they both were terrific, like, Star Wars experiences as well for folks that got to go to those and be part of that. But even if you weren't going to those events, just the day that, like, the trailer would come out, I remember it being, every time it happened, it was like an event. I remember I was in university at the time. I remember being in class the day the first trailer came out, and just hearing it playing everywhere, of like the back of the classroom, down the hallway, in the cafeteria, like everywhere you went, you just heard that bump, bump, that whole trailer. You just heard it everywhere. And it was exciting. It was thrilling. It was fun. It was this sort of like build up to something. And then opening night comes, the movie comes out, and, is it the greatest movie ever made? Maybe not, but it was really, really good. It was really, really good. Like, I don't think they failed to live up to the expectations. I felt like that movie delivered on what it promised, which was a return, yes, to the old ways, but also a lot of promise for something new, and also just a really fun adventure.
Yeah.
A really sort of like, that movie moves at quite a clip. Like, it's one of the fastest paced Star Wars movies you've got. And you feel it as it goes. But yeah, it was a special time. It truly, truly was a special time. And every like little moment along the way, right up to sitting there in the theater on opening night. And you remember, Ben, we saw it at like the first showing at like 7:00.
Yeah.
We left. We went and recorded a podcast about it.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the theater and watched it again at like 11:30. Like, we saw it twice in that first day.
It was a marathon.
It was a marathon. It was exciting because we got to go to the second one. Now we can just talk a little bit about how we saw it. We got to go with the second one for free because so we went to Mississippi. We wanted to see it all together. You, me, and Chris wanted to see it together. And we decided that the easiest way to do that, because you were the one who didn't travel, and so we decided that the easiest way to do that was to go to Mississippi. to make that happen. And so we show up and we're like, well, it's not Hollywood Boulevard. It's not Times Square. It's not, the big epic movie premieres, but we'll make it our own. And so you were at work. You were still busy. So Chris and I just had time to kill in your town. And
I worked that day. That day, like 10 years ago, I worked that day.
Yeah.
And then I believe my aunt, who used to be a coworker of mine, she drove me to the theater. I also I wasn't very mobile then either.
Yeah. So we didn't have anything else to do. No offense, Ben. We were spending the day in Mississippi. So
it's true. It's all true. All true.
We didn't have anything else to do. So we were standing around outside the theater and we went to like the dollar store and we bought a big piece of like poster board and some Sharpies. And we made a sign that said unofficial Star Wars Episode 7 line. And we sat out front of the theater. And the manager of your local theater, Ben, did not like us. Kept saying we were loitering, quote unquote. Never mind the fact that we were going to see the movie later. We had tickets in hand. So he was mad at us and like kept like sort of like insinuating that he might call the cops on us. That's Mississippi, and you really don't want that to happen. But then the local radio station showed up.
I think it was
107.1 The Monkey.
How do you remember that? I can't.
This is seared into my brain. 107.1 The Monkey shows up, and they're like,
radio station I have never listened to, by the way.
They see us and they're like, content. Here are the nerds we can make fun of.
Yeah, they're just like jumping out of the car like Homer. Nerds.
Yeah, and they got set up like a little tent, and they were broadcasting live from outside the theater. We kept doing hits with them, and all of a sudden, the manager loved us. Suddenly, he thought we were really cool.
Oh my god!
And part of the shtick. So it was really fun, and that was sort of the feeling that we kept going through the afternoon until everybody else started showing up around 6:00 for the actual premiere of the movie. Someone else who might have something to say about 10 years of The Force Awakens, making her long-awaited return to the show.
Oh,
and a Raeside.
Oh
my goodness.
Woo. Yeah, baby. We're back.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hi. Hi. How are you? How are you guys? I'm
so great.
You in a hot minute.
I know, you're right.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I've broken a
minute
since I last saw you. It's been kind of crazy.
Did you get a license?
Oh. Was that Ben?
Oh,
it's Ben.
Nothing has changed.
Oh, you froze Ben. What did I get into?
And you're clearly you bring me bad luck, okay? Clearly.
I know. Yeah, last time it was wild too, as well. No, what's your theory of how I broke my hand?
I thought you'd get in a lightsaber fight or something.
That's what I'm telling people. That and I saw Pong Krell on the streets, and I said, you know what, buddy, I got to give you a piece of my mind, and that's if I see Pong Krell, I got to take action. So that as well.
I believe the actual answer was from posing too hard for the thumbnails for your YouTube videos.
That is also a hard part of my job. Yes, that is also weird.
So, Hannah, we're
theories are crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're talking about the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens, which, believe it or not, is actually today. Not several days ago, as Daisy Ridley said, but we'll get to that later. Take us back.
For Australia, it was like 2 days ago.
Yeah. So take us back. Like, what were you feeling on opening night of The Force Awakens 10 years ago?
10 years ago, yes. Set the scene. I had just turned 15 years old, so I was in that like prime
Me too.
Teenage to the movies, with friends era. And I was very, very excited. And I had a thing in these days I absolutely relish and love. I had zero interaction with online Star Wars fans. I had no idea that like fandom existed online.
A privilege.
Never heard what a forum was. Never heard of Reddit. What the hell are you talking that people talk about this? No idea. I was just, in my own bubble, loving Star Wars with, the people at school or whatever. So going into Force Awakens, I think that was actually a fantastic way to be. All I had known about it was the teaser trailer and the trailer, which were fantastic trailers in their own right. And so I had a fantastic time watching Force Awakens, just in complete awe, in complete wonder of what it was. I was perfectly shocked and horrified at Han Solo dying. I had the best reaction to that in terms of like just scream crying in the theater. I was so excited for this movie. And I think my reaction to the movie lived up to it as well. I think that's my reaction was what they wanted people to react with. I think so. Yeah.
So okay, this is interesting, right? Because you say no interaction with online fandom, so I assume that means no interaction with spoilers.
Yeah, zero spoilers, just no idea.
So was it a surprise when Han took the lightsaber to the gut?
Yeah, completely,
Okay, sweet,
entirely, which was just
that's cool.
An insane moment because I lived, I think, the story that they wanted to tell of it, of like it was kind of led to be, Kylo's like he's got to come around here, like he's fatherly, he's reaching out and going, I got you, son, and Kylo's gonna be like, okay, and that's the turnaround. Like I completely was bought into that. So the sound, the ignition of the saber was still, I can 10 years on, I feel how piercing, literally, and just emotionally, how piercing that moment was. Like that was complete shock. No idea he was going to die. Yeah. So that spoiler had been out there for like a year and a half. Unbelievable.
So I
didn't even know that now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know how well known that was. That's nuts.
We knew that this was a near certainty going into the movie. And I remember like watching the live stream of the premiere and seeing all the interviews with Harrison Ford and seeing him be like so like chipper and excited about Star Wars, and the opposite of what he had been for the last 30 years. And just feeling so sad because I'm like, it's never going to be this again. We're never going to get Harrison to be this happy. Why can't Harrison be this happy to talk about Han all the time? The one thing, and Ben, I don't know if you feel this way, the one thing that wasn't spoiled for me, the one and only thing, because like every beat in that movie made its way onto the internet at some point, except one thing. Kylo Ren's real name. So when Han, right before he walks out onto that catwalk and he barks, "Burn!" That was my moment. That was my version of the lightsaber turning on, piercing him, a moment of reaction. Like, whoa! So that's his name. They named him Ben. How interesting. And then
there was, and that's the weird thing about this movie is the fact that there's so many things that we knew going in that I knew. Like my reaction to the bridge scene was just like me going like wincing and cringing, being like, oh, I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like it's about to happen.
Then, there was other moments. There was other moments where when Rey and Finn are running on Jakku and Rey goes, that one's garbage. And I burst out laughing because I'm like, I had the vision in my head, the scene description of, Rey and Finn run past the Falcon and then the ship blows up and they go back to the Falcon. We'd already played out the podcast. So, that was funny. And then just the whole thing with like Kylo reading her mind and then going, and I'm like, oh.
We'll never know. We'll never know what Kylo was reading in her mind.
What was it?
We'll never know what Ben's reaction was.
The island.
What is it? Does the Wi-Fi in Mississippi not connect to Australia? Is that what's happening? Is it only when I'm in here? That's hilarious.
I think that's it. It's too far away. It's just too far away.
Can't do it.
Yeah, Dan Grievous in the live chat here. Somebody even hacked Wikipedia back in the day and made the spoiler front and center on every page. That's a Han. I remember that the still image of Han with the lightsaber through his back was everywhere because people suck. Like that's the thing.
Yeah,
we knew the spoiler. We wanted to know the spoiler, and we did talk about it on the show. But we went to like great pains to make sure that if you didn't want to know it, it wouldn't be there. You wouldn't know it. So if I like spoilers. I like that they exist. I want them to be out there for people to read and talk about. But I also want people who don't want them to have that sort of like firewall of not seeing them.
Yeah.
I do think the era of the 2010s and specifically like 2015 was a real sort of great year for that because obviously it was this new era of like social media being such a thing. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like that's all a go now. Like most people are on that, but it wasn't to the level of today where it's like, you know, anyone of any age is on it. It was very much like, you know, late teens and older. I felt like were really proficient in it, and I felt like there was just less sort of social media literacy in terms of like, you know, I felt like I had Instagram and Facebook at the time, but it's like because I wasn't following like anything specific, like it's not like it just recommends and tries and puts it in your feed anyway. So it's like, yeah, I'm like, how did I avoid that so well? Like I just never had heard anything from it. So crazy. I want to share one thing, just as we're obviously talking all about this, that like a memory of the storyline that in hindsight was nothing, but at the time I was like, I gotta work this out. What is this Easter egg? Surely, and again, coming from the context of like not knowing how any of this works, that it's just new Star Wars. In my mind, it's a new Star Wars movie, so it's got like every detail has to connect to something we've seen before. So you think about the opening of Force Awakens. It's Poe and Lor San Tekka on that planet, and you know the landing scene, that whole sequence. I remember like during the scene, but then also even after the movie. At 3 a.m. because we saw the midnight release of it at 3 a.m. outside the movie theater, just being like, maybe that old guy, Lor San Tekka, maybe that old guy was like someone's dad, like from the Clone Wars. Maybe it was this Clone Wars character, maybe, and thinking like Lor San Tekka was this massive connection point that we should know who this guy is. And I was just so hellbent on like, who's Lor San Tekka? And in hindsight, it's like he was just the guy that just happened to have this thing. He just had that thing.
Max von Sydow is the key to all of this.
My favorite fake rumor about The Force Awakens was that Max von Sydow was playing Boba Fett in the movie. That's who he was going to play.
That's one that sticks in my head.
But yeah, I kind of had a similar reaction to that character. Even though he died, I was like, oh, this is going to be a character that comes back in some way. Not necessarily like in episode 8 who's alive, but like he'll play into one of the other movies or he'll factor into the books or something. Like he'll show up in Rebels, like something like that. And I remember like describing this after the second screening that we went to with the radio station. Because they gave us the free tickets to the second screening. That was the point of that story earlier. I don't know if I ever made that point, but that was the point of that story. And I remember discussing it with the guy who was like the lead producer for the day or the field producer for the day. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm sure they have like big plans for that character. And he's like, but he's dead. What else could they do with him? I was like, oh, right. Not everybody else thinks about this the same way that I do. But like, there were some things in Force Awakens where I was like, surely this is being set up to like be filled in later movies and shows that like just never got picked up on. Like the relationship between Maz and Han, I'm like, that feels like fodder for the Han Solo movie. And like Maz Kanata could not be further from Solo if she tried. But like, you know, it was the same, but yeah, it had the same feeling of like everything in this movie is either a connection to something in the past or a connection to something in the future in some way. And there's a lot in there that is, and there's a lot in there that was just kind of like, that's cool. Wouldn't that be cool if And
yeah, like
and that's
just
good
take
too. Like that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Like the amount of hours just that we spent on this podcast theorizing about the Force back. Like if I had a nickel for every time somebody mentioned the Force back and like what that meant. And like, well, Obi-Wan's voice is in there. Ewan McGregor, he recorded lines for this. And what does this mean? And well, the Knights of Ren this. And like, there's so much in there. And yeah, most of it doesn't get followed up on. It's that's the name of the game. And I think, it's a lot of it is, the J.J. Abrams isms of it. Of just like, kind of throwing stuff out there. And I mean, I guess that is what you take away from it. Like, we had fun with it while it lasted, whether it came to pass or not, it's fun to theorize. It's fun to pick up on those things. And maybe I wish some of those had been picked up on JJ, but they didn't. So whatever.
Everything in that just about got picked up on though, right? Because like it starts in Cloud City, and then you get like little baby Rey, which then gets picked up in Rise. You get the Knights of Ren, which gets picked up in Rise. Luke at the Jedi Academy, which gets picked up in.
I am eternally fascinated by the fact that they shot scenes of Luke and Vader. They shot Luke and Vader scenes that they haven't been released as a deleted scene or anything. It's just out there. There's pictures. There's proof that this happened. Like literally online. There's an actor that they hired to play Luke, but it's nowhere. What are you doing? Put it on Disney Plus.
Oh. The
Seriously,
Lucasfilm files must just crazy. This goes into Chris's crackpot theory that like George Lucas has like all these movies filmed and they're gonna release once he dies. Like he has a clause that his wife can just like press like upload on YouTube.
It's like a big red button. Melody Hobson will just hit one day and there'll be like 7 George movies out there. Yeah. It's wild. So with that now, like the benefit of hindsight of 10 years later and knowing everything that has happened since, what is our feeling on The Force Awakens? What is our feeling on that movie and its place in the larger, tapestry that is Star Wars? Hannah, I'll throw to you first.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one thing that has changed definitely about my opinion of The Force Awakens is one of my criticisms at the time, which was, this is just A New Hope reimagined, which is still a criticism, a major criticism of many, many people. And in hindsight, I actually think that was the right decision to make it fairly similar of a blueprint to keep and to start a revitalization of the story, to bring us back in. This is what we're going for. This is the hero's journey. This is, in a fantastical galaxy where anything, happens. I think as a setup, that was actually a correct thing to do. And I think the pitfalls of it being just sort of a reimagination of it comes from the later movies and that not being followed through. So what was the question? On hindsight. Yeah, I think for me, that's one thing I've sort of changed my mind about with The Force Awakens.
That's
what I'll put down first.
Yeah, the movie has this weird, it is very nostalgic for the past.
100%, yeah.
And I almost wonder if they did this by accident. To justify its level of nostalgia for the past, they had to come up with some of the most like tragic backstories for what happened between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. And there's a way of looking at Force Awakens where it is the most depressing movie you've ever heard of. Because think about where we last saw Luke, Han, and Leia at the end of Return of the Jedi. They're clapping and dancing with the Ewoks on Endor. They're having a great time. It's the best day of all of their lives. And we pick up with them 30 years later. And they've all like regressed as characters because of this massive tragedy that happened to them in between movies. So, the nostalgia wants Han to be a smuggler. He can't have grown and evolved into some new role within the New Republic or just in life. Nostalgia dictates that he be a smuggler. Well, the only way for him to go back to being a smuggler is for him to leave the life he was promised at the end of Return of the Jedi behind. So what would make him do that? Tragedy. His son falls to the dark side, massacres a bunch of people, and is now terrorizing the galaxy, representing like a Neo version of the thing that Han spent a good part of his life fighting against. Same thing with Leia. Like, Leia's version, is a little bit more like, you can see that being like, she would wind up there eventually. She stays in politics. She stays in public service. But even then, she's not loving it. She's by herself. She's lost all the people around her. She's back to being alone, right? Like Leia at the beginning of A New Hope is alone, and she loses her family when her planet blows up, and she gains in that movie with Luke and Han, and they're both gone because this tragedy that affected them all has left them scarred to the point where they don't know what to do. And Luke, again, he's our hero. He is our like beacon of light. He's run away. And people hammer The Last Jedi for that plot point.
Yeah.
But that comes from Force Awakens. That comes from those scenes on the Millennium Falcon where Han is explaining to Rey and Finn what happened. Like, there's such like a sadness and a like a really like dark backstory that exists in this movie to justify going back to the nostalgia. It's why I think it works a lot better than some of the other nostalgia fests of other Star Wars projects, which can still be a lot of fun. Like, again, I don't mean to be a hater. It can still be a lot of fun, but like, I think it works better in this movie because it's almost like you're not thinking this when you're watching the movie for the first time. We're watching the movie for the first time. You're going, look at Han and Chewie on an adventure. God, it's fun. Like, you're getting the nostalgia hits. But when you think about it later, it's like, that shouldn't be. Han shouldn't still be like stuck between two gangs that he's swindled at this point in his life. That's actually, like, when you think about it, it's actually really sad that this 70-year-old man, this guy who should be retired, hanging out with like his grandkids, is like begging these two gangs to not murder him. That's actually sad. Like that is a tragedy. And again, Leia spent her whole life fighting against the Empire, only to then spend her twilight years doing the same thing. Luke is hiding. Dude who went in to face Darth Vader and the Emperor by himself is hiding. Like, it's sad. It's really, really sad. And then the new characters too. Like, they're supposed to be our beacons of light. Rey is, and this is not like a criticism of the character. This is a description of the character. Delusional. She is staying home. She refuses to go out and do anything with her life because she's convinced that her family will come back. Her family who left her as a child. Whatever the backstory for that winds up being, the fact that her family left her alone as a child is a tragedy. And she's like, as this young person who should be going out into the world and doing things, staying home because she's so deluded herself into believing they'll come back and rescue her. Finn has had his whole life stolen from him to become a stormtrooper, and he runs away, which is good. That kicks the story into gear. But he is so freaked out. He's so traumatized by his experiences that he doesn't want to fight. He just wants to keep running, right? Like, they get to Maz's castle and he's hanging out with the Crimson Corsair and the peg leg dude. And he's saying, like, get me to the Outer Rim. I need to get as far away from this as possible. Like, even they are sad. And again, Kylo Ren, here's the guy, who had all these like wonderful heroes that we all like grew up being inspired by, and Luke, Han, and Leia, they were right there for him. And who's he inspired by? Darth Vader and the Emperor. Like, that's who he's chosen to follow. This is like, this is the, progressive parent having a child who's, into, a Trump supporter, like all that's like that's where you've wound up, and so it's interesting starting places for all those journeys. Again, like this is not a criticism. This is just like this movie is actually really sad when you think about it, and it ends with Han dying and stuff. Like it's really sad. But the trick that it pulls is utilizing that pacing, that familiar structure of A New Hope, combined with a lot of really, really well executed and fun little moments. It gets the tone of Star Wars right. It gets the banter right. You get fun little things like BB-8 with the thumbs up. BB-8 is like a masterpiece that you could somehow take R2-D2 and make it just as good or better. Like that's insane that you could do that. And these characters, they do go on this journey and they do wind up with hope at the end, despite how terrible things go for them in the movie. And that is because it follows that structure of A New Hope. And so it's able to give us those moments of release, of excitement, of joy, of familiarity, despite the fact that nothing good has happened in the 30 years in between, and very little good is happening on screen to any of these people. But it's a really strange trick that they pulled off. And I sort of think they did it by accident, but that doesn't make it any less impressive. The fact that they did it makes that movie really, really good. And it's why, despite my frustration with nostalgia stuff, this movie is like way up there in my like favorite Star Wars movies. Like it's definitely upper half, if not like top 3. Like it's really, really fun and really, really good and really, really layered and deep.
Yeah, no. And I think to your point, I think all the things you outlined there, like, I think that's why I love this movie so much, is because, like, yes, for everyone that's been screaming about it for all 10 years of this movie's existence, of it's too similar to A New Hope, like, yeah, okay, yes, you're right. It is a little too similar to A New Hope. Like, I was the person in the theater when Poe and all his wingmates go into the trench run.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, no, come on, man. Come on, JJ, why are you doing this? Like, I was the person in the theater. Like, that was my first reaction thing. Like, I love that scene in retrospect, but it was like, it's a little on the nose. But I think it also doesn't get enough credit for all the things it does really well. Original concepts, like just the whole dynamic between Poe and Finn. Like, it's just so dynamic. Having a stormtrooper turncoat and be the hero is a new concept for Star Wars. I think that concept is really cool. Rey as a character, completely new, really cool. Like, there's so many things that I think, and taking the thing forward, I think there's been a lot of franchises. There's been a lot of franchises that have tried to copy, let's face it, the success of this movie. I think The Force Awakens maybe wasn't the first, but it definitely kicked off the era that we're in right now, which is the legacy sequel era. Jurassic did it, Ghostbusters did it, like, they all do it. Like, they all introduce new characters and then, bring in some old characters and have them have a big adventure. I think few have really done the work and done it as well as Force Awakens did. And I think the easy thing to do, I think a lot of fans, especially, I've seen your fan art. I know what you wanted. from the sequel trilogy. I think a lot of you would have just wanted like skip all the first half of this movie and just go directly to the Resistance base, and it's Han and Leia and Chewie and Luke and Lando. They're all hanging out together. They're having a big good old time, and then they're just going to go off on an adventure and defeat all the bad guys. Like, that's the movie that maybe a lot of people, if they were in the writer's chair, would have written. But they don't do that. You don't get Han and Chewie until 30 minutes into this movie? And even then, you don't get Luke Skywalker, the hero of the last trilogy, until the very freaking end. Like, they held back, and I think J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan and the crew, they deserve so much credit for bringing a lot of innovative things to what is a movie that, yes, is drawing a lot on nostalgia bait, and a lot of themes and stuff from the previous films. And every Star Wars film is a product of its time that it was created, and a product, obviously, of the people that made it and that living in that time. I think Force Awakens, there was a lot of drama. Speaking of fandom drama, like the whole thing with real sets, practical effects, we made fun of that ad nauseum. And yes, it was very cringeworthy at the time. It was borderline maddening at the time.
They shot in a desert, Ben.
I remember being
the prequels definitely did not shoot in a desert. We have no evidence. There's no footage of Hayden Christensen, Jake Lloyd, Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor. None of them were ever in a desert. Damn it!
Nobody had ever shot a freaking movie in a desert before. Force Awakens is the first movie to do it, man. But like, it was a reflection of the climate at the time. Good or bad, right or wrong, there was a lot of people that did not like the prequels. There was a lot of people that were sour on Star Wars as a whole. I think that it went from like pre-2012, people kind of being like, George Lucas is crazy, he doesn't know what he's doing, and Star Wars is kind of crap, to we don't like Disney either, and they're going to screw it up. And I think there was a lot of writing on this movie, and it could have been a situation where this movie didn't work. Not saying that it would have screwed up everything, but I think it would have been a different vibe had Force Awakens not landed as well as it did and given the audience, most of the audience, pretty much what they wanted. I think a lot of that has to do with nostalgia and things. And right or wrong, their approach was in like the behind the scenes, whatever you want to throw at it. Force Awakens did the work. It brought the fandom together, at least for a moment, so people started complaining again, and like really made a movie that was a crowd pleaser that was able to build upon. Because I think we'd had Rebels, we'd had comics and stuff like that pre 2015, but I think Force Awakens was that big splash of what is Star Wars going to be? What's the future of Star Wars going to be? What does Disney Star Wars look like? What is Kathleen Kennedy's, J.J. Abrams? What is Star Wars without George Lucas? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Well, Force Awakens was that.
And interestingly, like Force Awakens is kind of the last movie that has, I think, a direct tie to George that you can sort of follow it back.
Right.
Because Abrams and Kasdan wrote the final script, but they wrote that final script based on story treatments and early drafts, which were written by Michael Arndt, which they worked very closely with Michael Arndt. But Michael Arndt started working on this movie before they did. Michael Arndt started working on this movie with George Lucas. So you went from George to Michael to Larry and JJ. So like there is a through line there from George. And I wonder if that's why, despite all the trappings of nostalgia, which we do know that George was not a fan of, he may have thought the movie was, technically fine, but he's described it as a movie for the fans, which is not the sort of thing he likes to make. Tells you something about George. I do think you have that little bit of a through line there, why it feels a little bit deeper than just another regular legacy sequel that you sometimes run into. But it's good stuff.
Yeah, and just to jump on here as well of the battle of nostalgia that comes into this movie has. And I think you sort of touched on it just before as well, of so much about the context and the year this came out and when it came out. It goes so much into this movie because say, Star Wars had been dormant for the past 15 years and we hadn't had anything and Disney only acquired Star Wars now and they made the exact same movie and Force Awakens came out right now as is. I don't think it would be half as successful as it was. Honestly, no. I don't think it would have been. I think there was so much to the context of the film industry that Star Wars is so closely. The second you start talking about the state of the film industry, you have to involve Star Wars at some point. Whether you reference George Lucas as a filmmaker or you reference the lineage of Star Wars and what that symbolizes, it's so interesting. So, yeah, I think also the context for me is so big for Force Awakens' success. And I think it almost, if I should use a very Star Warsy word, shrouds anyone ever, actually, anyone ever being able to fully, judge this movie for what it is and, like, evaluate the movie for what it is. Because so much of the equation is context, nostalgia, not even within the movie, but for us now, like, and when it came out and what it stood for. It had so much more meaning than any other movie I found. Yeah. It's a big thing.
Yeah. It was, like we've said, it was a moment in time, the release of this movie. It was a special thing that, like, look, I cannot wait for The Mandalorian and Grogu to come out. I cannot wait for Starfighter to come out. It's going to be a lot of fun when those movies comes out. And sorry to anyone that did not get to experience The Force Awakens coming out, that the lead up to it. It ain't going to be as good. It's going to be good and you're going to have fun. It's not going to be as good as that, which is like, that was how part of the reason I was so excited for Force Awakens was that I felt like I had missed out on the Phantom Menace, right? Like I had felt like I would hear from older fans at the time, like, oh, what it was like, the anticipation in May 1999 to see that movie. And now I was like, oh, this is my chance to experience it. And I got to experience it and I'm forever grateful for it. And, the fact that Star Wars is so ever present now means that we'll probably won't get something like that ever again.
Yeah. It's like, and the fact is, like, nobody here, young or old, right now, has ever lived in a time in the past 10 years where they thought, oh, we're never going to get any more Star Wars movies. Star Wars is dead. Star Wars is over, whatever else. Like, the things that we were told, that we believed.
Or sometimes I was worried.
That 2005 to 2012 era of, well, Star Wars is over, basically. Yeah. We're never going to get any more movies. Like, believing that with all your heart, so much so that I delusionally told myself I didn't want any more Star Wars movies. I was fine with George just going off and doing TV shows and whatever else. And he's like, yeah, 6 movies, that's enough. That's fine. That's plenty, George. You didn't need any more.
There was a TMZ clip from around that time of like late 2011, I think, or maybe early 2012. And like the paparazzi ambushes George outside his car. And they're like, George, tell us, when are you going to make Star Wars Episode 7? And George goes, never.
Or like the Daily Show interview. It was literally like during, I'm sorry, George, I love you, but you bastard, you SOB, you're out there on live TV. Jon Stewart's like, so is there going to be any more Star Wars movies? Or he's like talking about Red Tails, whatever.
Yeah,
he's
they're
like,
talking about Red Tails.
This is going to be the closest you're ever get to a Star Wars movie. He's out there talking to Mark Carey and Harrison. He's planning the sequel trilogy himself, lying to the public, telling them that there will be no more Star Wars movies. George, like, mad genius.
George Lucas is the embodiment of the ethical liar. Because
we only forgive you because you allowed it to happen, okay? Because we actually got it. That's the only reason we forgive you, George.
His lies don't hurt anybody. He just comes out there. He comes out there and just says stuff sometimes. Like, yeah, I'm not making another movie. Meanwhile, he's writing it back home. He'll say things about he'll even say things about the old movies that are like demonstrably false if you trace them back. Like, yeah, Darth Vader was always supposed to be Luke's father. No, he wasn't. He came up with that during the writing of the 3rd draft of The Empire Strikes Back, dude. Like, we can trace that back. You can tell me it was otherwise, but like, your notes exist. Rinsler put them in his book.
It's all in writing. It's all in writing.
But
Rinsler was taking notes.
But it doesn't hurt anybody. It's not like, it's not like a lot of these other liars that are out there today whose lies hurt a lot of people. George just says stuff and we're like, yeah, sure. Yeah. You don't care about what's going on with Star Wars currently. Sure. Yeah. No, you don't. You don't secretly have your own version that you'd love to have been made instead. Anyway, love George. Love George.
Iconic.
We've gotten a couple of super chats I think are fun and related to what we're talking about. So we'll jump to those right now. Travis Mitchell drops this. Ben, you were talking about how important the release of Episode 7 was to you, and you said very relatable, Ben. Part of why this trilogy is special for me is it's the first one I was alive to see in its entirety in theaters. I will say that's something I share as well. I was technically alive to see the prequels in theaters, but I only saw Revenge of the Sith. And this was the only one that, like, yeah, from the moment it was announced that episode 7, 8, 9 were happening to, you know, the last screening of Rise of Skywalker was there for every moment, every, you know, step along that journey.
Yeah, and you, I mean, as prequel fans, as millennials, like we grew up hearing stories of that, hearing story of like, oh, I went to the midnight screening, like, oh, I went to one of my friends to the midnight screening of, you know, Phantom Menace or whatever else, and I was like, oh, I was like 8 years old. I wasn't going with my friends with anywhere, much less to the theater. Like, you know, like that was thing going way back to 1977 and all the hoopla there, and like, especially Force Awakens was comparable to the Phantom Menace and A New Hope in regards to like the hype level, how big it was, how big of a deal it was, how much we knew deep down, like how special it was, and that it wouldn't happen again, just based on what we would know would happen, even though we didn't know what would happen. But it's basically happened the way we thought, which is like we're getting Star Wars all the time now, and it's you know, it's not this thing where it's not a rare thing anymore.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Questions along those lines. We got another super chat from Joel. He says, do you think Star Wars can ever recapture the magic of this time again, or was this a once in a lifetime moment? I mean, look, there were people that lived through the magic of May 1977, May 1999, and December 2015. So I hesitate to say it's once in a lifetime, because a lifetime, you know, is a long time, and lots of people experienced all three of those sort of once in a lifetime moments. But I don't think you can quite recapture this specific concoction. I think there can be moments that are equally special in their own way. If you know if the stars align and everything sort of goes right with production on movies and the right ideas that relate to the right audiences that come out at the right time, I do think you can get something like that. I think we got, you know, it's maybe not the same in the sense that it didn't capture the audience or the general public the way Force Awakens did, but like, you know, you got something pretty special with Andor this year, right? Like that right. Show, it hit a lot of the right beats at the right moment for a lot of people. And so I think you're going to get a lot of other special moments and a lot of other things that are different and evoke similar emotions. But in terms of repeating this specifically, ooh, that's going to be tough. Not saying it's not possible, but it's going to be tough.
Oh yeah. Like, you know, ultimately you can, like, I'm not going to say Star Wars is not going to have big moments in the future, even if we keep going the way things are going. Like, obviously, things like Andor was a huge cultural moment. Like, it wasn't a movie premiere, but like, it was huge. It was like huge. People are still talking about things. Like, that was a huge, I think, pinnacle moment for Star Wars, even in the midst of all these other pinnacle moments. And you can't rule out the fact that maybe Star Wars in the future won't be coming out as often. Like, we don't even know what the next live action series is going to be right now. Like, we've all been expecting, like, there's going to be movies and shows forever. Like, things change. The plan has changed. Like, we're supposed to get a movie every year, and that did not come to pass. Now we're coming up on getting a Star Wars movie next year, and then the year after that for the first time in like 7 years. So things change, and there could be a scenario where like Star Wars goes away again. Maybe Star Wars goes away again for 10 years and comes back, like you would have a Force Awakens type scenario. But even then, it's hard, because it's just, there was just stars aligned for this movie.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I think the expectation and what was before it and going into it is different. Where the sort of what's the word? Sort of landscape of fans are different now, I think, for Star Wars. But then I don't think that's a bad thing, because then you get different sorts of moments. Because I look at the Ahsoka show, not necessarily the premiere, but I think the Anakin thing. I think for Star Wars fans was there was a certain magic around that hadn't happened in other sorts of shows yet, that was so prevalent and so widespread that I thought worked really well. And then I think I don't think we're going to get it again blatantly, but I think there'll be similar times where magical, just wonderful moments that the fans love will arise again. I definitely think those types of moments will keep reoccurring.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. All right, we'll get to some more questions later on. I think we'll leave the Force Awakens reminiscing there and move into some news updates from this week. For the second week in a row, breaking news, day of the podcast recording. Thank you this time to Sean Levy for announcing that production has officially wrapped on Star Wars Starfighter. He posted a picture of himself on a very interesting looking set here. Wall running on a set that looks very, I'm going to say THX 1138. Like if you've seen the, George's first movie, that was my first thought when I saw this, is it kind of captures that feeling. And if he's running on the wall, I imagine Ryan Gosling or someone else in the cast will also be running along the wall, which is pretty fun too.
I also got People Mover at Disneyland vibes, weirdly. that was my first thought.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I kind of thought it kind of looks like some sort of like monorail tunnel or something, some sort of something. Yeah,
I'm curious if is this a built set, or could this be like a real location that they're shooting at?
Yeah, I suspect it's probably a set, but you never know. You never can be totally sure with these things until we find out later.
Can we all put our bets in to what you just said before, Dom,
sure.
of who's going to be running through this tunnel here? What character?
Sure.
It's going to be Matt Smith. Matt Smith is my guess. He's going to have to run through this.
Okay. Ben, who do you think? Which actor do you think is running through this?
I want to say Ryan Gosling, but I'll say God, what's her name? The villain.
Amy Adams.
Yeah, let's go with
Amy
that.
Adams.
Go with Amy. Go with Amy Adams. Go Amy and Mara Jade running down this this weird hallway. Maybe there's gravity shenanigans. Maybe there's gonna be wall running gravity shenanigans. Who knows?
I mean, I said it before. It's definitely Ryan Gosling. I know that's the safe bet. That's but it's gonna be him. It's gonna be him. At Kitus 0809 in the chat says Sean Levy wants to tell us that Cal Kestis is in this movie. For all you Jedi Knight fans,
yes.
Jedi Survivor,
the wall running, yes. Oh my
Fallen Order fans out there, getting Cal Kestis in there.
Oh, it's perfect timing for the Star Wars Starfighter tie-in video game. Bring that back, guys.
There you go. Now, the one thing that is kind of interesting is this movie is done shooting, almost 18 months before it comes out. Like the post-production time.
Is that quick?
That's long. That's a long post-production era, or post-production.
VFX artists are just kicking back, going
"Yeah,
this is good."
Yeah, it does feel a little bit short on the in terms of how long they spent filming. I mean, when did they start? They started in the fall. Yeah, that was quick.
I feel like it was August. I think it was August they started.
Yeah, that's quick.
I think this is the strategy with Lucasfilm. I think getting directors that know what they're doing and can be economical, and do a quick movie and under budget and do it right and do something that's going to be a crowd pleaser. I think this is the thing. I think this tracks with Favreau. I think this tracks with Sean Levy. I think this is healthy. Seriously, this is how movies are supposed to be made, not under the gun, pushing stuff out, having 6 months to do all the VFX until it's released, ridiculous.
The cynical part of me says they're leaving all of this time for all of the reshoots that they're going to do when they bring in Tony Gilroy to reshoot this movie, or Ron Howard. One of the two of them will come in and reshoot this whole movie.
Love it. Yes.
Anyway, also in the Starfighter news, we got a look at Matt Smith's character's haircut. Finally!
Whoa!
What have we been waiting for?
Looks amazing.
It's
so good.
It's weird and creepy and definitely looks like a bad guy's haircut. That is a bad guy's haircut if I've ever seen one. It's short on the sides and long in the front. That is an evil,
also
evil man.
Not militaristic like I kind of thought he would, and I think there was stuff out there like, well, he's gonna play a general or something. I don't get that vibe from this. I think he could be more of a scoundrel, maybe.
I don't know. You put a military hat on that guy and an imperial suit. I could see it. I could see it with this, as he describes it himself, this daft haircut that he's got. A little bit of it's not business in the front, it's party in the front, business in the back. It's the reverse mullet.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So that's what Matt Smith will sort of look like in this movie. All right, moving right along from that. Last week we learned during the show that a new Star Wars game called Star Wars Galactic Racer was coming out. We watched the trailer live. We read a bunch of quotes for the first time and tried to make sense of it. And we speculated on a lot of things that we now actually have answers for. So this is what we know about Star Wars Galactic Racer. This is what we've learned since literally the middle of the show last week when we were trying to figure it out live. The game is coming out in 2026. It's developed by Fuse Games, set during the New Republic era. Okay, we knew all of that. The plot of the game, so it does have a story, is focused on a character named Shade, a lone racer with a dream of glory and revenge. Playable planets will include Jakku, which we figured, Ando Prime, which apparently goes back to the original Star Wars Racer game from like 1999.
Yes, there was a map on it.
Yeah, I had that on Game Boy. Damn.
Crazy. And another location called Sentinel 1. There will be a solo campaign, multiplayer gameplay. The developers behind it are known for working on other racing games like Need for Speed and Burnout. And that Sebulba, the star of the trailer, is included for quote unquote particular reasons. Which, I mean, couldn't that apply to every character?
No, they actually putting in Min for just no reason whatsoever, just for the hell of it.
I did love that Sebulba was the stinger at the end of the trailer. That was hilarious.
And the second Star Wars game to release a trailer this year that has Sebulba in it. Second Star Wars racing game. If you can believe that.
You know what, Ben? I knew that, but I still don't believe it. Still don't believe it.
2025 is the year of Sebulba.
Yeah, the 26th anniversary of the Phantom Menace. They're like, you know what? Time to put Sebulba in the spotlight.
It's time. Oh, no. It is time. It's been too long. So good.
Yeah. As Joel points out in the chat, Sebulba has outlived Anakin. He may have lost the Boon to Eve, but he won at life.
Yeah, imagine Sebulba watching the news around Return of the Jedi being like, I'm alive and he's dead.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Okay, surely at some point there must have been a Star Wars book or comic or short story or something where Darth Vader goes pod racing. Surely that must exist.
Didn't that? I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of look. We've had too many Vader comics for that to not happen already.
Yeah, surely that must have.
I feel like there might have been a situation where he's somewhere where pod racing happens or something. I don't think he's not involved in it though, but I think he goes to a planet where he watches
Yippee!
Yeah.
Now this is pod racing. No. Joel in the chat, the host of Ion Cannon, says there's a comic where Vader watched Luke race. Great.
Close enough.
Apparently.
Close enough, I guess.
Close enough. Anyways, this Galactic Racer game does sound like a lot of fun. I do like that there's a story in there. I think that sort of is very promising. Hannah, what was your reaction? I'm sure you talked about it in other places, but what's been your reaction to Galactic Racer and perhaps more emphatically Fate of the Old Republic? the two big Photor, the two big game announcements from last week.
Yeah, these were really crazy. I was very happily surprised by these. I all I had expected from the Game Awards was maybe someone finally mentioning, "Oh, we'll eventually make Jedi Fallen Order 3," like, you know, and that just being like said and not anything done about it. So to get these two whole other games like announced, sick, very cool. Photor, I think, is a great move. I think that's a great decision, and I'm really excited to just spend a couple of hours and more on Galactic Racer. I think it's fun. I also like that they called it Racer because of the classic, you know, story of they didn't have the right license yet to use the word pod racer on the original pod racer game that we've been mentioning in 1999. Did you know this whole bit?
No,
so that
I
game
didn't know this.
Is actually called Episode 1 Racer.
Yeah.
Because there was some sort of licensing, which doesn't make sense because I'm like, it's just George though. But it was something that it was like Fox, like 20th, you know, Fox like owned it, you know, and then the license hadn't come through to the gaming.
That's so weird.
You know, Lucas Games yet. So it was called Episode 1 Racer. It's hilarious. Yeah.
That is
I
so
like that.
strange.
Yeah, I'll dig back into that story and share it another time. It's a whole thing. It's so funny.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I kind of love that. It's insane.
It's their own thing. Can't use it.
What a time. Speaking of Fate of the Old Republic, there were some reports last week that the game was like 5 years away. It wasn't going to come out until 2030. Casey Hudson, the director of the game, has promised that that's not the case. Put out a tweet saying, "Don't worry about the not till 2030 rumors. Game will be out before then. I'm not getting any younger." So I don't know, 2028. That sounds good to me. That sounds about right.
Have a full trailer by Celebration 2027.
Yeah,
and then game releases maybe end of 27 or start of 28.
Yeah, I think it works.
All right, let's answer some listener questions. That's what I feel like we should do. We've got some questions that have been submitted from the Discord. We also already answered some super chat questions. So if you're listening live and you want to guarantee you get an answer today, submit a super chat. As for our Discord questions, we'll start with this one from Gilster10, who says, "My sequel trilogy question is, when did Palpatine discover Exegol, aka Sith Mordor, and the Sith Eternal? We know he discovered it by Empire Strikes Back, but my theory is he discovered it sometime before the Clone Wars, and the Sith Eternal and their agents helped destabilize the galaxy. The Sith Eternal remains an underrated group in Star Wars canon between the Faceless Acolytes and the Sith Troopers. Speculate away."
Joel, what's the answer?
Now, I'm gonna ask you a question right back. Why are we assuming that Palpatine discovered it? Why are we assuming that he ever that maybe the Sith never lost it? It was always a thing that got passed along to Sith, or maybe something Darth Plagueis knew about, or going back to Chimere's age. Like, it was always something they had in their back pocket that they were working on for a very long time. So I think there's every possibility that there will be a book or a comic that comes along the line that tells how Palpatine found it. We really haven't gotten any younger Palpatine stories, which I would very much like to see. But also there's a possibility that it's just been in the family for a long time.
Joel, it does drop an answer. Says the answer is ... sometime before 10 BBY. Otherwise, we have no answer. So weirdly, I might have an answer here.
Oh,
because this past weekend I decided to do winter spring cleaning, and to go along with winter spring cleaning, I decided to re-listen to the Tarkin audiobook. I'd read Tarkin back when it came out and decided to listen to the audiobook again as I did all my cleanup and stuff. And I'm listening to it, and there's like a through line to it that I'd forgotten about, where there's a lot of scenes from Palpatine's perspective. Maybe not a lot, but there's a handful of scenes. And all the while he's kind of chastising Vader for being interested in like the ruling the galaxy part of the Empire. Like, he's not. Palpatine's like, we control the galaxy. The whole point of having this empire is that we can control the galaxy, and then that frees us up to go out and work on other things. And Palpatine basically wants to control reality, is what he says in that book, which suggests kind of like world between worlds-y kind of stuff.
That's true.
But it seems like, once Palpatine gets a lock on, the Empire being the Empire, once things are pretty much running themselves with the Moffs and the Imperial Senate and Masameda and all of them, then he's freed up with or without Vader to, explore other outlets for the dark side of the Force. One of those would be the world between worlds, which we see in Rebels, and one of them could certainly be Exegol. So, whether he knew about it already, whether he heard about it as kind of a legend and has to go find it, or whether he has it already in his back pocket, like of once we get things locked in with our empire, then we can go head over to Exegol and really deep dive into Sithy things. But it does seem like, his focus might have sort of shifted to that in that, 2-decade time between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, once they, figured out the logistics of ruling an empire. So,
yeah.
There you go.
I have no additions to these questions, unfortunately. So yeah, that's a fascinating thought.
Go with that.
Let's go.
This has been Ion Cannon. I am a combination of Joel and Matthew.
So good.
Next question here comes from Kajira, who asks, where were y'alls when The Force Awakens was announced? Me, I was transferred to a four-year university, or I transferred to a 4-year university after attending a community college and participated in the Art Awakens art contest that StarWars.com used to host. Not sure if I can still find that old piece I drew. Also, just a comment, I'm grateful that the Star Wars films have more underrated actors and actresses for their films. It truly launched the careers of Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. Obviously, most of us didn't know who they were before, but now we do. So where were you when The Force Awakens was announced?
Are we talking October 30th, 2012? That's the day.
I mean, like otherwise it's when the title was announced, and I don't think that's what we're getting at. Where were you when? Yeah, let's say when October.
I mean,
30th,
I was literally right here, and I remember being sick, like literally nothing to say. I was right here. I went, whoa! They're making more Star Wars movies. Wow.
Yeah,
Hannah,
wow.
You have no memory.
I have no memory. I have no memory. I would have been 12. Like I just would have had no maybe access to the family computer, and I don't know. I don't know if I would have seen it anywhere there. So I would have. I think I actually probably found out about it honestly by the teaser trailer. That was like the year before. I probably only found out about it then because I was so not.
That's the weird
online.
thing.
I was 12.
Like
it
wasn't like that announcement.
Rocks or shit. I don't know.
That announcement was like it was huge, and like the news covered it. Like I remember being on like CNN. Like it was huge news.
Yeah.
So like it was hard to avoid it. But if you're a little kid, you don't watch the news, so whatever.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what's going on.
I saved a couple of the front pages of a couple of Toronto newspapers from the next day because it was literally front page news. Like
wow,
the front page of one of them was a picture of Yoda, and the other one was that picture of George and Bob Iger, where George just looks so sad and Iger looks so happy. So I think I've told this story before, but it's kind of a weird coincidence what happened. I was doing a gap year between high school and university at the time, and I was working and I had the day off from work, and so I went to the movies and I turned my phone off because I don't want to have my phone on during a movie. That's what you're supposed to do. And I found out when I left the movie theater and went on Facebook and started seeing all of the news and that everything that it was happening. Now, the weird sort of like, coincidence of it all was the movie that I saw on October 30th, 2012, at the same time that this announcement was being made, was Looper, which is written and directed by Rian Johnson.
That's really good.
So as it was happening, I was watching a movie made by the guy who would make episode 8. So there it is.
So weird. That's pretty freaky. I like that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
that it's always that was one of those details that as soon as Ryan was rumored for episode 8, I was like, that's too weird. I can't. And I don't think he would have been locked in at the time, because JJ wasn't even locked in at the time. But like I was like, that's too weird. It's too weird that it's that guy. And I also will say I share in Kajira's being grateful of the fact that they've gone out of their way to find new actors. And like Boyega had done a few things. Attack the Block is really good, but like obviously the stuff he's done since Star Wars has been really elevated his career. Same for Daisy, Kelly Marie Tran, same thing. Oscar and Adam were kind of already stars or up and coming stars, but it really did help propel them even further. So it's good stuff. Joel Davis with a rare one sentence question. Not a paragraph in sight, Joel. He asks, what was your pre-Snoke as a Palpatine clone Snoke theory back in the day? Coming out of Force Awakens, who did you think Snoke was? What did we think Snoke was? You guys try and collect your memories. I will say I thought he was just some guy named Snoke. I did not believe any of the theories that he was secretly I didn't believe he was secretly Darth Plagueis. I didn't believe he was secretly Palpatine. I didn't believe he was secretly anything. I was like, this is a new guy that they found and that the JJ and Kasdan and Arndt and Ryan created collectively, and he is the villain, and that's who he is. I didn't want him to be anything else, and so I very much enjoyed the your Snoke theory sucks stickers, because I thought a lot of the Snoke theories that were out there were pretty ridiculous, most of them were just plain and simple clickbait. I remember clicking on ones, and yes, I fell for it. Clicking on ones that laid out absolutely insane, ridiculous, and paper thin theories of how Snoke could be everyone from Jack Porkins to the little kid in Revenge of the Sith that goes, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do?
Source Bandine.
Him,
so good.
You look, whoever wrote those articles, you got added revenue from me, so congratulations. But I resented them, and I wore my Your Snoke Theory Sucks t-shirt with pride. So that was what I thought.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was of the thought that this wasn't another character transformed. I was like, this is a new just villain from the darkness of the galaxy that is just here. I did think he was some sort of underling of someone, though. I did think, Palpatine like trained this guy secretly or something. I think I had more sort of thoughts that there was a connection more directly in that way. But yeah, I too was like, this is some sort of creature from the evil depths from some planet.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back, because I do remember. I think everyone was trying to connect him to something, and clearly the filmmakers were also trying to do that at some point. But like, I think Snoke is Snoke was kind of the theory I think we all landed on, and I was always enamored with the idea. And this is something that I did not make up; it was in the freaking visual dictionaries of just like the whole like. There was these like purple alien looking dudes. I can't remember if it was in Force Awakens or Last Jedi. They're in the background, or like they didn't even show up in the movie, but like they're in there, and they're called like navigators, and like they have like there was this whole like mythology they put into the book about like, oh, they help them navigate the unknown regions or whatever else. I like the idea that seemed to be at that point, and maybe they were trying to push it that way because maybe that was the truth at the time that got upended by the Rise of Skywalker. but the idea that the what was left of the Empire had gone to the unknown regions and had been taken over by this dude Snoke and had been transformed into the First Order, and they came back out as the First Order. And Snoke was just some alien dude from some other race who had come up and, you know, had taken control of the First Order, or what was left of the Empire. So I think that's what that was.
That is, I love that. That's great.
See, I don't want to get too far because I'll also start thinking, hey, look, that sounds better than what we got. No, I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there. Okay. But, you know.
Yeah, I liked when Snoke was Snoke and not Palpatine, but that's neither here nor there anymore. Good question, Joel. Appreciate that. Malcat asks, where did the First Order get their recruits? I mean, they stole them. That's kind of the thing, right? Isn't it? With Finn is
they kidnap kids.
Kidnapping-esque, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure they probably have some sort of sign up. You probably, if you're like an adult, you could probably.
Yeah. Well, and actually, again, weirdly, Star Wars Resistance gets into this, right? With Tam's character, like wanting to be an Imperial and going and basically getting herself recruited to the First Order. She even has the this was so 2018. She has the line of I just thought the First Order wanted to make the galaxy safe again. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god.
Boy.
It's right there. It's blatant. It's true. It's a correct comparison. But it's right there. It's very on the nose, very 2018. But yeah, I think that's the stories that they stole them, they kidnapped them, and some people just went along with it because they had a different perspective on what the Empire was, and they didn't know the truth of how evil the Empire was. And if you read the what's that book series called? Servants of the Empire, which was a tie-in to Rebels series.
Yeah,
that also lays some groundwork for it with Brendol Hux, General Hux's dad. Is in that series, and they have some groundwork laid for what becomes the brainwashing of the First Order stormtroopers in there. And those are actually really good books, despite being like for 12-year-olds. Good question, Malcat. Much appreciated. Let's go to Dr. Hugh 17. Dr. Hugh 17 says, a trilogy of questions. Don't mind if I do. Dr. Hugh playing the role of Joel Davis this week with a long question. Dr. Hugh writes, question 1, what are your favorite things that came out of this, that came out during the sequel era? For me, the visual dictionaries, incredible cross sections, and art of books are great comfort material. While the Star Wars Poe Dameron is currently my favorite modern Star Wars comic series. Question 2, do you have any favorite shots from the sequel trilogy? The Starfighter pilot in me has a soft spot for anything that involves the Resistance fighter squadrons. And 3, what ships and or vehicles from the sequel trilogy could you see yourself using? Oh, man. For starfighters, my picks would be anything that uses an astromech, namely a T-70 X-Wing, BTA-NR2 Y-Wing, and the D-Wing, the latter of which deserves more coverage beyond its Rise of Skywalker cameo. I would also be up for hijacking a First Order AT-ST or TIE Special Forces fighter any day. P.S. The overarching theme of my trilogy of questions ought to be an indicator that I will always be scum. Rebel scum. Yeah. All right. Question 1, right? Favorite thing that came out of the sequel era. So favorite sort of tie-in piece.
Tie-in thing. I gotta say there's some really great Lego sets that came out. There's some real good ones. The Force Awakens type Millennium Falcon Lego set is a classic. Ben, do you have that one? Why do I feel like you have that?
Yeah, that's the one I have on my shelf is the Force Awakens version.
Yeah. That's a great one. And there's some just like the BB-8 Lego set, and there's just a few that were just fantastic. So yeah, a few notable ones there for me.
Yeah. Ben?
Yeah, like I'm thinking collectibles. And he kind of stole my answer. Hugh kind of stole my answer with the visual dictionary because that's always a tradition. Get the visual dictionaries. Like I have all of those. Like I'm gonna get nothing else. Is gonna be the visual dictionaries. But aside from that, like Legos were great. Like The Force Awakens is the one Star Wars movie I think I have almost every single Black Series 6-inch action figure that they produced for that movie. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
At least at that time. Like there's been others that have been released. Those don't count, okay? I'm talking about the original first line of that. I think I have almost every one except the Constable Zuvio. I think I intentionally was still angry at him, and I said, nope, I'm not going to buy you. Not even if you're on clearance, I'm not going to buy you Constable Zuvio.
Zuvio is now one of these days is going to come around and become like the ultimate collector's piece. For me, like I'm sort of thinking like things that came out in that era. On the publishing side, the Art of Books I really enjoyed those. If we venture into collectibles, though, I think possibly the greatest Star Wars collectible ever made, in that it was both fun, screen accurate, and timely, is the Sphero BB-8.
Oh wow, yeah.
Because that was
such a good shout.
Yeah, that was like the hottest thing December 2015, because BB-8 stole everybody's heart in that movie. That toy was so much fun. It was like, it looked like they shrunk BB-8 and gave him to you. It was so much fun to run around with your phone. And it hit at the right time. BB-8 was a great design. The toy was fun. Like everything about it really worked. And it had a moment alongside the movie as like the ultimate collectible. So yeah, Sphero BB-8 I think has to be the best like tie-in thing to come out of the sequels for me.
Oh, yeah.
Question 2: favorite shots from the sequel trilogy. Anything?
Look, I'm gonna say really quick. I'm gonna take a cheap shot here, and say that one of the best shots is the TIE fighter shot. It's the Apocalypse Now homage on Takodana. What I love about that shot, and I didn't realize it, I think someone actually pointed out to me, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. because there is no, like, it's like broad daylight. There's not like a sunset happening. But like, so like, it doesn't really make any sense that like, oh, here's TIE fighters at sunset. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's really cool. So they did it, and it does look great. And speaking of Force Awakens, like there's so many shots that are just gorgeous. Like the entire sequel trilogy. Like anyone that says that like, oh, it's trash or whatever, it's like you would turn the sound off and just like every shot is a painting. Like they're beautiful films.
Yeah, I'm finding it really hard to narrow it down. But I obviously love the Holdo maneuver. Is for me most just epic, ultimate sci-fi, ultimate space conflict action piece. Like I love it. I know a lot of people hate it as a concept and like the physics of it, but I think that scene, that moment is just phenomenal. So Holdo maneuver or there's a single shot. Force Awakens is just so stunning. Every shot of that is in artwork. You're right. Kylo. Maybe this was only just in the teaser trailer though. Not actually. Oh, it must have been in the movie. Him igniting his blade when he's in the forest at the end of the Force Awakens, and turns it on. He kind of does that step thing where he kind of steps and
he stomps.
Yeah, he like stomps it on, and then the blade ignites with the cross guards. That was such a epic shot. But I'm fascinated. I can't even remember if that was actually in the movie as a moment, or whether that was
actually
just in the trailers.
I don't think, as with most of the shots in the first teaser trailer, as is a Star Wars tradition, not in the movie. Like the first shot of Finn popping up and panting.
Is that in it?
That's in the movie.
That's in. Yeah.
That's in the movie. the shot of Rey on the speeder, not in the movie. The shot of things. I'm trying to think what else is in that. Oh, there's a shot of BB-8, I think, that is in the movie. Or as R2 FIFA, as everyone called him back in the day.
There's something you haven't heard in a while.
Wow.
That shot of BB-8 though, I wanted to mention this earlier, Ben, when you were talking about that sequence. I kind of love that shot because it's like the only time in a Star Wars movie that a character breaks the fourth wall.
Oh yeah,
because they've just run up, like you were describing earlier. They're running up to the quad jumper, and Finn goes, "What about that ship?" And Rey goes, "That one's garbage." They run up to the quad jumper. It explodes. Cut back to them. Rey says, "The garbage will do." They run off. The camera pans over, and it's the Millennium Falcon. They're running, and then it cuts to BB-8 rolling. And he like does a full like Jim from The Office and like looks at the cameras like, like, see, yeah, that's what you think it is. And then the scene keeps going. And I just remember that in the context of the movie, like seeing it one of the first times, and be like, did the droid just like, look at the camera?
It's time.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Like,
that's so good.
Yeah, he Jim's the camera. I kind of love it. So that is one of my favorite shots, just for that silly reason. All right, do we have favorite ships and or vehicles from the sequel trilogy that you would like to fly?
That's a good
question. If you could fly, what ship would it be from the sequel trilogy? I would like to fly the quad jumper. I felt like the quad jumper got shortchanged, and it just sounds fun to fly something called a quad jumper.
I will say,
go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I do enjoy, for some weird reason, I enjoy flying the Resistance bomber in Lego Star Wars. Like that's my favorite ship. It's like, for some reason, it's practically useless in the movie, but it's the most powerful ship in the game. So it's very fun. So I guess that's my answer.
Okay. Hannah, what would you want to fly?
No, I don't know if I have an answer. Oh, no, I can't think of enough ships at the moment. You know what? I'll say the like the kind of B-wing style bombers in the Star of the Last Jedi, because I feel like they would just be so difficult to drive. But I want to try. I want to try and drive them. It would be so tricky. Love it.
I want to ride the tread bike that the First Order stormtroopers have in the Rise of Skywalker that launches the jetpack troopers. You know, they fly now.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That's good.
It's because the problem with the sequels, and this goes back to the nostalgia thing we were talking about earlier. The problem with this question as it relates to the sequels is that so many of the designs, like the more iconic version, the one that you want to fly is the original trilogy one. What you think? What kind of X-wing do you want to fly? You want to fly Luke's X-wing? Come on. I mean, maybe you want to fly Poe's, but it's not like differentiating this between the originals and the prequels, where it's like, oh, what ship do you want to fly? Well, in the originals, it's the X-wing. In the prequels, it's the Jedi Starfighter or the N1 or something like that. Like, that's where they're so wildly different. But the sequels, you kind of have to dig a little bit to get something that's truly that's not like a blatant remix or just upgrade of something from the OT. And that makes it a little bit harder, but we found answers. Fly those bombers and tread bikes and things like that. All right, one last question. This one comes from Vlad Sander, who asks, "Hello, Underworld. I'm curious, will we ever see our host pick up Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? The 10th anniversary of the game is coming up, and they're adding new characters, including Dark Disciple Ventress and Spider Legs Maul." This is an older question. This is a question that's been sitting in the docket for a while. Has anybody played Galaxy of Heroes? Anybody here played it?
Vlad has been on me about playing this game for things, and I have to disappoint Vlad and say that I have not played it yet. But maybe since the Christmas holidays are coming up, I really have no excuse but to try it. because it does. It's one of those things that I'm like, that looks like fun. I should try it, and then I never do, like with most video games. So like I've spent so much money on video games that I have not touched. Okay, so much money. So don't. This is not a dig against it. There's games that I've spent too much money on that are just sitting there that I haven't touched.
Okay, all right. So no Galaxy of Heroes for Ben. Hannah, have you checked it out?
Never. I do know.
Oh,
it's got
come
this
on,
cult
Hannah.
following though. I know, but I never have. No.
I am in the same boat. I've never played it. I see the YouTube ads on occasion, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I like the last.
Does look very. I will say it looks very inclusive in regards to like they have all the tie-ins. They have like characters from like all the shows, all the movies, like everything. Like it's a smorgasbord of things, and that's what attracts me to stuff like that. It's like, okay, they're not prejudiced against anything. They really get the whole saga, which I like.
That is cool. That is cool. No, I'm trying to think. I think the last Star Wars mobile game I played, like, to take us back 10 years again, was Star Wars Uprising.
Oh god.
And I just remember like being so excited to play it because it was tying in with the movie, and then like was the most like repetitive thing, and I'm like, it has nothing to do with the movie. I don't see anything that's going on with this, and so I haven't really played any of them since then. I mean, I'm not, you guys know, I'm not a big gamer, and that extends to my phone. You know, the most checked apps are all social media apps. I go through phases where I play like the New York Times puzzle games and stuff. Like I'm that person. I did discover recently that a video game from my childhood had been re-released as like an app, as a mobile game, which is Backyard Baseball. And so I've spent a lot of time playing that game during commutes, because it is literally like graphics, everything about it, the same game I played. Like nothing has changed from the game I played as a 5-year-old on the family computer in 2001 or whatever, to the version that I can now play on my phone. And so it's like it's a nostalgia hit of the purest form. But I don't know, what is Galaxy of Heroes? Like,
it's, from what I understand, it is a turn-based game where you have a selection of characters you can kind of go into battle with, and then you kind of like attack each other or whatever else. Kind of like I don't know, I could be way off base here. Maybe in the realm of like a D&D type of thing.
Oh, okay.
There's Vlad is probably screaming at me. It's nothing like that. How dare you?
Did you ever get into Star Wars Card Trader back in the day?
See, that's another one that I like. I did get into it. I played it. I was kind of into it for a little bit, but then I just got off of it, and and then it's like they're releasing new stuff, and now they're coming out with another.
Oh, it's still going.
Yeah, well, as far as I know, Star Wars Card Trader is still a thing, but there's a new Star Wars card game, digital card game, I think, coming out at some point. They just announced this.
Okay.
And the voice in the back of my head's going like, I could get into that. I could do that. And it's like, no, you won't. You liar. You're not going to get in on that at all.
I remember being like obsessed with Star Wars Card Trader.
It was fun.
For like a couple of months. And it was like you would get a certain number of packs a day. And I completed all of the like basic like collections, like there was the white borders and the blue borders and like that stuff. Like I completed all of those, but I reached a point where the cards that were left to collect were just too rare, that you would open up the packs and it would be just there would be no new cards in there for me. And so I just
a lot of doubles. You get you'd have 15 Luke Skywalkers in Bespin fatigues, and I'm just like, okay, I've got enough of those.
Yeah. So like that era of Star Wars mobile games, that and Star Wars Uprising, that was the last time I really got into the Star Wars mobile games.
Oh,
There
by
was-
the way, I'm re-downloading Star Wars Card Trader right now. Whoops.
Will your collection still be there?
That's what I'm curious about. I'm actually I'm gonna find out in about whenever this finishes downloading.
Ben, I'm gonna do the same thing.
Oh God, here we go.
We're
doing
gonna find
it,
out.
We're
gonna find out live together. This show has stopped being.
It's gonna ask me to log in, and I am not gonna remember my login, or
the
maybe
show
it'll remember.
The show is now just stopped being a show. It's now just us hanging out. We're just gonna start playing Star Wars Card Trader.
Now it's downloading a thing, but like there are 2 or 3 different phones since I've used this app. There's no way it's gonna remember.
But do you have the same have you had like the same type of phone?
Yeah.
So you might have the same login.
I don't know actually.
All right, I'm opening.
14% downloaded.
I've got it open. We're gonna find out here. It's loading. I'm genuinely curious, like what I'm about to find in here, because I did have a lot of cards. I had a lot.
Me too.
Of cards. And I am intrigued, and I had like a small amount on like a gift card from the Apple, like from the App Store, and I remember using it in pay to get the better packs. And then paying to get the better packs and getting like lousy cards again. And was like, well, I'm never paying for this again. Wasted my gift card on this. All right. Do I want to let it send me notifications? No, I don't.
No, never. Always click no.
Log in. What will it say? This is run by Fanatics. Oh my God. All right. Let's try logging in with Google. Maybe that'll bring up something. The show's over now, folks. We're just
yeah. I know. I don't know what are you doing? Things. It's over. Go home.
It's over. Yeah, we're just here to play Star Wars Card Trader. That's all that's happening. This didn't work. My login didn't work. All right. Here we go. Okay. Continue. Am I starting from scratch? And am I going to get obsessed again? This is the real question. That's
the real problem. If you have obsessive personalities like us, you never know what you could get sucked in. Being like, Dom, come down for Christmas and open your presents. No, I've got to get these cards.
I gotta get the cards. I don't know what would be like the randomest card. I gotta get Benny from the.
But there's a rare Will Row Hood out there that I have to find.
Oh my God. I don't think it's gonna have required or kept my account. I'm gonna say because I'm on my third.
All that hard
I'm
work.
on my
All those
third
cards
attempt.
I collected are gone. Thank you, Card Trader.
I'm on my third attempt to reset my password. Oh, maybe Ben.
Oh,
this is unbelievable. This is
such
a turn of events. This is to listen to. This is crazy.
This is the worst. I don't know if this is the worst segment we've ever done, but this is
or the best. This could be the best.
This is what's become of it. Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna let Apple make the password now. All right. I'm logged in. Huzzah! All right. Let me get to back to my app here. I'm sure everybody is riveted. Are my cards still here from 10 years ago?
Are they still there? This is very intriguing.
This is what we're finding out. All right. Let's skip the tutorial. I don't need to play the tutorial. Maybe it's totally different. All right.
Sign up.
What are crystals?
Okay. Lots changed.
Updates to collection.
Probably updated like 40 times.
Okay. All cards. Nope. I'm gonna say all of my cards are
not there.
I don't have my cards. They're all gone. Look at this tragedy.
Wow. When was the last time you opened this?
Darn you, Tops.
So long ago. Like genuinely. Like this is a different app than the one I remember. Like this is a whole ass different thing. What are crystals?
Wow.
This is fascinating. To me, anyways. I know it's not to anybody else. All right. You know what? You know what this means? When we've reached the point where we're updating passwords live on the show.
Unbelievable. I'm
People
glad I came
still
back to
listen
this.
to this.
Yeah, right. Hannah's
people
like,
are
I'm gonna miss
watching
the
this?
I'm gonna miss the next 3 months now. All right. With that, folks, we're gonna begin to wrap things up for this week. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you've stuck with us through that, whatever the frig that was,
True fans.
true fans,
So
you have earned something. And what that something is, we will determine in the future. Ben will buy you something. He will get you something. He'll get you a card in Star Wars Card Trader.
Yeah. That's your prize.
That's your prize.
I will
That's
put
what you
my Star Wars card gen out on social media if this ever loads.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Thank you everybody for listening. I believe this is our last show for the year because next Thursday, Christmas Day. Thursday after that, New Year's Day. So,
come on! You're not going to do a show on Christmas? Come on!
Strangely, Ben, I don't think I am. Strangely,
Gosh,
you never
darn,
know.
I was looking so much forward to it.
You never know. We might be able to cobble something together in that time. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, all that stuff. But if not, we'll see you back here in January. Hope everybody has lovely holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that stuff. Whatever you're celebrating, Happy Hanukkah, all of it. Enjoy it. Have fun with your family and friends or whoever you are celebrating with. It's that's what all this stuff is about. We talk about presents, we talk about collectibles and stuff, but really it's about getting together. That's the point of all this. That's why we do this podcast. It's not to talk about Star Wars or our digital card collections from 10 years ago.
Figure out passwords.
Yeah, figure out passwords. It's to get together. So that's what we got. Hannah, thank you for coming back. Sorry you had to endure the last 10 minutes of the show there.
Yeah, that's so fine. Great to be back on board for that. No, it was so fun reminiscing Force Awakens today, and yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. Exciting times, and catch you next year.
Yeah, what have you got? What's going on the Raeside? What's going on the Raeside to close out the year?
Wrapping up, sitting down for 2 minutes. That's what's going on over there. No, I've probably one more live show for the year, and then same thing. I'll kind of catch it, and keep going, and more fun things in the new year to come is really to look forward to. Yeah,
exciting. And heal up that wrist, would you?
Thank you.
Work on
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop knocking out the. Actually, everyone keeps saying I could be like a battle droid. Like
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
or the super battle droids, I should say.
Yeah.
You know how they have the wrist thing? I should be like that. But,
That's a pretty good one.
you. Yeah. Thanks.
Good one. Yeah. All right. Well, recover up. Ben, thank you as always for being on. Have you figured out what cards you have yet?
You're never gonna believe this. You're never gonna believe this. All my cards are gone. I don't even know what my cards. I don't even know what cards I have.
So
but
excited
they're gone
there.
now. They're gone now. But I've started over. I'm in, guys. I am in, baby. I'm back in business. Star Wars Card Trader. Watch out. Yeah, I'll probably play this for 5 minutes and then never thinking about it again. Or maybe I'll be obsessed with it for the rest of the weekend. Who knows? Just tune into whatever. Tune in my social media and find out.
Actually, I might have some cards here. I'm not. I can't get.
I'm
into
not
this
seeing any.
I
Of
can't.
course, if there is cards in my thing, if they were cards that I had, I wouldn't remember because I haven't played this in like 8 years.
I know. I think, Ben, I think we have to stop torturing people with this conversation. We can continue it off the air.
People like, get over it, guys. Nobody cares about the stupid card trader.
Look, we're gonna bring back Star Wars Uprising in a minute and play that. We're gonna go live with that.
And Vlad's like, over there, like, you're not gonna play Galaxy of Heroes, but you pick up this other stupid card trader game from 10 years ago. Good lord.
Oh, it's good stuff. As always, we want to remind you in between shows, subscribe to what we're doing here on the Star Wars Underworld. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, however you like to listen or watch the shows. That way you never miss an episode, especially if we're going to have anything bonusy in the between times, although no promises there. If you enjoy what we're doing and you want to support us in a financial way, you can become a channel member. It's just sort of like a tip jar. There's not really any like cool perks, which is maybe something we should consider adjusting in 2026, but who knows. And if you're listening on a platform that lets you leave a review, please do that. Keep the conversation going in between shows on our Discord and on social media at the SWU. Check out the other programming on the Star Wars Underworld Network, like the Raeside, Ion Cannon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, and the Tractor Beam. And if you want to read about Star Wars, you can read it on Hot Off the Press. That's DominicGJones.substack.com. Almost every week there's 2 posts that go up. So go subscribe over there to read about Star Wars in addition to listening and watching about it. All right, that is it. That is it for us. Enjoy the holidays, enjoy the new year, everybody, and we will see you in 2026. For Ben, for Hannah, for Chris, who isn't here, and for all the other wonderful people at the Star Wars Underworld, my name is Dominic. May the Force be with you, and Happy New Year.
Happy Life Day, pal.
It's a wrap.